Birds flying past me. It's Pixie back again. I just want to mention about really sort of sun gazing and sort of progress with that. Um, you can pretty much do as much as you want, but there's usually you'll have noticeably have a limit. You just won't want to do it for hours on end, and it also depends on the strength of the sunlight and other things as well. It's mentioned about that on a cloudy day not to bother or whatever, but you can still do it. Basically, it might be even better. Um, because you can look at it longer and there's less effects. Normally with sunlight, I think if you can feel it radiating on your skin and it's heat, then you're getting a certain amount of ultraviolet light hitting your face as well. So staring at that point possibly might be not a good idea because you'll be also microwaving your eyeballs. And there's also talk about sort of damaging your eyes. Your eyes will repair, but there might be things that it's kind of you've got to be careful about these things. A bit like your night vision, you don't want to sort of lose any sort of abilities. I mean, you can gain certain abilities as well. Um, like sunlight tends to have less a problematic effect. Like I was driving around on my motorbike and the sun was setting and it was quite bright in my eyes. Normally I would find this quite difficult to see, but I was able just to stare straight on, and it was sort of no sort of major impact in my vision going up there. I mean, certainly there's what they call the hue effect, or if you get tinnitus and things like that, you'll feel a certain amount of energy coming in from that in early morning sun. And I say it really depends on the time the sun comes up as well. Like today, I was up at sort of 6:45, simply because the sun was up and I felt like I could get up, and I had this sort of energy going on, so that's why I did that. So, I mean, the other thing to look at is the actual daylight. As I mentioned, seemed to be up earlier today, and basically you just gave me that little bit extra energy. So I just watched the sun for a bit. It was cloudy, so I was able to look at it for longer. There was no sort of didn't have to squint at it or anything. At the moment, it's more intense, basically, but it wasn't like I was left with any sort of white spots in the eyes. I mean, the same photons are still coming through the clouds. It's just being filtered slightly, so you're getting a slightly different effect, different stream of light to your eyes. But it's still the same old benefits there as well. I mean, it's a bit like you can still get sunburnt on a cloudy day, so that energy is still coming through. So there's other things. I think, like for instance, now the sun's basically behind a cloud. Looking up at it is quite straightforward. It's not going to cause any great injury to my eye or any problems like that. Nobody's ever gone blind sun gazing. I think your eyes regenerate anyway. It's just you want to be sensible. It's like anything, like weight training or exercises. There's certain limits, and if you go through them, it might just take a little while to repair and get yourself back to normal. Benefits, I think it puts you in a good mood. It also clears your thoughts. There's other things that I'm more interested about the light is basically the frequency and whether this light has information that my body uses or is a catalyst for vitality or my health. And also my spirit, basically. It's all about that, the spiritual growth. Because when you leave this plane, you don't want to go away with nothing, or just have to keep reliving the same life because you've never achieved anything outside of this box. That's a sad truth for some people. That may be the way that there be for several different generations. You can see a bit ingrained, but that's a cultural thing. That's not going to that could be another video. So sunlight, you can look at it different intensity, different strengths, depending where you live as well. It could also affect different seasons, and it gives that benefit to your health, and it gets you away from staring at computer screens and things that actually are unnatural biorhythms and can sort of impact upon your health. So yeah, some interesting things about sort of sun gazing. I'm trying to figure out how it all interconnects because I've been doing stuff to do with Ormus, magnets, and all sorts of things. Just trying to find out how the body can use it. I mean, when I can understand that, I can better probably help my body. Like, is static electricity better for me than well, not that I want to electrocute myself, but if something comes in contact with electromagnetic sort of radiation, it can damage it. So you want to be, what's the best for my body? What energy can it use without causing any problems with it? And would it sort of enhance or strengthen my health? Because that's one of the main things as well. So yeah, I mean, there's little tips there. Is like I mentioned, is if you've got cloud cover, you can use that. You can look at the sun longer. There's no issues with that. I mean, you can use things like sunglasses, but it's really just the heat. The heat is a sign of that, the intensity of the sun, also the type of radiation that's hitting your face. As mentioned before, when it's first rising and setting, it's probably about the first 10-20 degrees. I mean, for me here in the UK, I mean, I could look at it until probably about 8:30, and then it sets around 7ish. It starts coming down, so sort of like close to 7 o'clock onwards. So it might be 6:45. So usually there should be some parallels between the times. So if it rises at 7, it should set at 7. That's that kind of theory. But it doesn't always work. So it's a bit like I swear that I've looked at the full moon before, and it's been several full moons in a row, and I'm thinking this is a bit strange. I thought we only have one in a row, but obviously it's a bit more complicated than just simply looking at a chart and guessing. So yeah, so use the cloud cover for your eyes. That will improve it. Look at it in the morning. I mean, if it is too intense, or you can squint. There's no sort of. It's not like a test of endurance. You don't have to stare at it until your eyes water. There's other methods as well. Like there's methods that some people use or when it reflects on things like mirrors and so on. I'm going to be doing an experiment with mirrors in my flat. It's actually it creates a prism effect where they reflect each other, dimensional. So I'm going to be playing around with that and just line up. It'll probably freak everyone out if they see all these reflections of themselves. But it's going to be very interesting because I've got two mirrors set up that almost look at each other now from an angle I can see each other. And then I have a mirror at each side, and with the sunrise, in theory, I should be able to see it in the actual mirror reflected. So I'll be able to see it from all sorts of different angles that I didn't normally have in the flat. It also gives it a bit of extra illumination. But the thing is, I don't want is like neighbours having an advantage. They can look in the window and they can see me in my bedroom or somewhere else. So they shouldn't do like, I have to pull my curtains every time when I want to have a bath or get changed or something. It'd be just really annoying. So yeah, so there's different sorts of experiments, and it's just figuring out the best for yourself. It's also good for your skin. The daylight. I mean, I don't normally go outside and start staring at the sun. I can just do it from inside my flat, and that way I can still wear a pair of shorts, and my skin gets benefit. I mean, I've got fairly fair skin, so it can absorb the nutrients from the sun into my body, and it's extra health benefits basically. And it's what's natural. We didn't always wear clothes, so or as much as we do nowadays. We probably also didn't live here, so different places due to wearing clothes. So there's sort of benefits. So anyway, I draw this video to a conclusion, and wish you luck.